Well, we always thought that January would be a tough month, didn't we? And so far in 2021, the champions have found things hard going. No Premier League win or goal as yet. Can they change things at Anfield tonight? It is fourth top against fourth bottom. It's Liverpool against Burnley from 8 o'clock this evening. A very good evening to you. Welcome along to the Matchday Live preview in association with Standard Chartered as we look ahead to Liverpool against Burnley in the company of Gary Gillespie and Jason McAteer. Good evening.
How are you?
Very well, you?
I'm okay. I'm okay, yeah. Glad to be in the studio and doing a bit of work.
Well, talking of getting into the studio, if you ever wondered and sat there and thought these people are so in sync, that would probably make just about one or two of you. Not only did we arrive together, I was pursued on the M62 by something in a black 4x4. There was McAteer, and then followed each other into the drive-through for a coffee as well.
Yeah, you
so
didn't buy mine, did you?
Well, you were in front of me, so technically you should have bought mine.
Next time.
Exactly. What about tonight then, Gary? This feels like a big one for the champions, particularly given results for both the Manchester clubs last night.
Well, I think we talk about it every week or every game, that it's always a big game for Liverpool. But, you know, the way that the games have gone in recent weeks and probably the last month or so, to be quite honest with you, I think it's a must-win. I think any time you're playing a team like Burnley at home, I think you've got to expect to get 3 points. If you're going to be anywhere challenging for the league title come the end of the season. Funny enough, and irony always throws up its ugly face in football. The irony is that Burnley were the only team to take points off us last season at home with a 1-1 draw. So, you know, Liverpool will have it all to do, but you like to think that they've got just about enough to get the result.
When you look at that table, Jason, and you also reflect on what we saw on Sunday, does it change your mind as to which teams are in this title race? Because Leicester looked mighty impressive, didn't they, against Chelsea on Tuesday night?
Do you want to notice that Everton, if they win their game in hand over us, they go above us?
Yeah.
You know,
that's against Manchester City, by the way, so one of those two teams.
So that's all right, so they'll
points.
stay below us then, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good reading, not when you look at where we were, you know, 3 or 4 games ago, where you'd expect us to beat the likes of West Brom, Southampton, and we were actually talking about going 5 points clear at one point. Now we're playing catch up, and you know, I've looked at the fixtures through January. You could be out the title race if you don't win games like this. These are must-win games. Gary's right. You know, I think Man City, Everton, Tottenham. I think we've all got them to play in January, haven't we? Up into early February. So,
but weirdly, actually, Jason, there have been the games where Liverpool have been better this season. You know, they've beaten Tottenham, beaten Leicester, beaten Wolves, drew at Man City, beaten Arsenal, beaten Chelsea. It's been the Burnleys and the Fulhams and the Brightons where they've dropped points. Yeah,
it has. And you're right to some extent, but you know, we can't get past our problems at the minute, and they need addressing. They need to find answers. We've got to find solutions to, you know, why we're not scoring goals. We need to find solutions to the back two. You know, is it impacting the midfield, which is then impacting the front three? It's all solutions the manager, you know, he has to figure out very quickly.
I was listening to Mark Hughes talk on the radio, Gary, the other day, and he's won a fair few league titles. You know the feeling as well. And he said when we get to January as a team, you just started to churn things out. Your mindset almost changes. Does it feel like at the start of the second half of the season, this is where it really kicks into action? And as long as you're in touch, you've got a chance.
Well, I think as long as you are in touch and distance, I think you've always got a chance. You've always got an opportunity. And I think especially the way the league is at this moment in time, and especially this season, I think there will be a lot of teams feel as if they're in with a shout like come the end of May of winning it. Churning out results is something that we haven't done. We did that last season exceptionally well. And I think I made the reference of the Man United game. You look at Manchester United, again they did it this week. They churned out a result where they're not playing at their best. And we certainly did that last season, but for whatever reason this season we've been struggling a little bit. And that's how we've ended up with so many draws. And draws are really, they're hurting us at this moment in time, especially if you're drawing games at home as well.
Yeah, and Gary touched on it there, that the Manchester United performance last night, Jason, you put Manchester City in the category of it could have easily been a draw, a very controversial refereeing decision. Liverpool would take a filthy 1-0 win with a goal off someone's backside tonight, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, you know, just to create some confidence, some momentum. That's what Manchester United have got, you know, they did find it difficult beginning of the season. They found a way of playing. I think, you know, I went on record, we were talking about it off camera, weren't we, about what I said. You know, about, you know, having injuries and us having injuries and them not having too many. I still stand by that. I think they've had, you know, the big players have played most of the season. I think Solskjaer has found a team week in, week out that plays right through the middle of the team. They've been strong. And then, like Gary said, when you start churning out results and believing in yourself, you always believe you're in the game. It creates confidence then to go on and win it. And you know that. Yeah, I agree. It's back to watching the Man United of old, isn't it? Where they believe in themselves, you know, to grind out a result, to get a victory, get over the line, whatever it takes. I don't think they can maintain it. I think there will be injuries. I think they will come, and I just don't think that they will be there around the end of the season. I still think it's going to be City or Liverpool.
Well, despite that goalless draw against Manchester United on Sunday, Fortress Anfield remains intact for Liverpool. 68 unbeaten at HQ. Let's get across to the ground now and join Mark Benstead.
Thanks, Rob. After so much success in recent seasons, Liverpool find themselves in a slightly unusual position. They're playing catch-up in the title race. After dealing with so many problems in the early part of the season, injuries, COVID withdrawals, and getting through some tricky fixtures pretty much unscathed, they've actually stumbled of late in what you would have called some of the easier games. They've picked up just, 3 points at the last 12 available, and that means they find themselves, as you say, 4th in the table and 6 points behind league leaders Manchester United. In terms of tonight's fixture, this game is about two sides that are struggling to score goals. Liverpool haven't scored in the last 3 Premier League outings. The last time they went 4 league games without scoring a goal was back in the 1999-2000 season. That's bad, but it's even worse for Burnley just now. They are the lowest scorers, not only in the Premier League, but in England's top 4 divisions. They've scored just 9 league goals this season. Chris Wood is the only player to score more than once for them in the Premier League. In terms of the team news for tonight, well, Joe Matip could return for Liverpool at the back after injury. He's being assessed after returning to full training over the last few days or so. For Burnley, they could welcome back 2 key players into their starting lineup. Charlie Taylor, the left back, is back in contention to come back in after injury problems. And Dwight McNeil could start tonight. He's played as a sub, coming on in the last 2 outings after a groin problem. Full team news on the way for this game in Matchday Live a little bit later on tonight.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Touched on the team news there. Gary, is it as simple as saying that Joel Matip has to play tonight?
I wouldn't say he has to play. I was reading Jurgen's comments after the game, and obviously like post-match, pre-match for this game as well. Interesting how his mind thinking, how he played Jordan Henderson in the game against Manchester United, talking about that, you know, like the counter-attack from like Manchester United, and he wanted to have a lot of the ball to be playing out from the back. And he made reference to like the different situations with Manchester United as opposed to Burnley. Burnley won't play like that. So I think it might be a case of Joel Matip, if he's fit and he's ready to come back into the side, I think he will. But I don't think Henderson will play there if he's not. I think Nat Phillips would play. I
was going to say, just wonder whether it's the sort of game where Nat Phillips, who's tall, he's physical, he's a presence, and that's the sort of defender you need tonight, isn't it, against big boys like Chris Wood or Ashley Barnes, depending on who plays up there for Burnley.
Absolutely. I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at it. I mean, the manager, Jurgen Klopp, will obviously be thinking Liverpool, like Gary said, will have a lot of possession. You know, hopefully there won't be too much to do. Although when I did watch Burnley against Manchester United, I thought they impressed me, actually. You know, I thought they weren't as direct as what people make them out to be. They do like to get it down and play at times. But I do think Liverpool at home will dominate possession. I think Nat Phillips, or Reece Williams could come in. And probably Nat Phillips I'd favour, you know, for what you're saying, the aerial sort of presence. I think he's slightly better in the air. He's more dominant. But for me, I think it's paramount you get Jordan Henderson back into the midfield. I can see him with Thiago and Wijnaldum. You know, them 3, you know, there's a bit of creativity in there. There's a bit of industriousness about them as well. And I just think tonight, with it being a must-win game, I think that's why I feel Jordan Henderson needs to come back into the midfield, and that then would open it up to one of the kids playing.
Quiz question for the 2 of you. What do Burnley's last 4 games have in common?
What do Burnley's 4 games have in common?
Gaz?
They've only scored 1 in the last 4, haven't they? Same as us.
I'll tell you. All of Burnley's last 4 games have finished 1-0. 3 of them they've lost, 1 of them they've won. Jurgen Klopp is expecting something pretty similar this evening.
They obviously didn't score now a lot of goals, but they don't concede a lot as well. So that just shows us how tough the game will be. But it was always like this against Burnley. Proper fight, second ball fight, defending the channel balls, defending the intensity of which Burnley puts in, a specific intensity. Sean is always able to squeeze really good performances out of the squad, even when it's not the biggest squad in the world. And of course, if they have injuries, that hurts them maybe even more than other teams. But that's the situation. They know that, they deal with it very well, and we have to face it.
I'm not overthinking the fact that they're maybe not as free-flowing, because even when they're not, I don't know if you notice, they're still up there, they're still delivering, they're still winning, you know, they're still getting points, you know, they still delivered a good performance against Man U, who are in very good form. You know, so I'm not overthinking that. I think we still have to be on top of ourselves and on top of our performance.
When you look at Burnley, Jason, and I know they're in trouble at the moment and probably looking over their shoulders a little bit, but given the amount of resources that Sean Dyche has, what he's been able to do in terms of recruitment over the past couple of transfer windows, I mean, every season that Burnley remain a Premier League club, it should be a massive congratulations to Burnley, shouldn't it?
It is, and you know, he does get mentioned when jobs become available, doesn't he, about moving on, but sometimes you get a club that suits a manager, don't you? And you know, they get success of that because they run it from top to bottom. All the players buy into how he wants to do it. He brings in players. You know, sometimes having the biggest budget can be a hindrance because you know, you want players that you can trust. There's a certain market of players. You bring them in. I know it's a tight ship. I know that they all like him. His man management skills are very, very good. And they always seem towards the end of the season turn out results, don't they? Usually last 10 games of the season, they win more than not, which ends up, you know, getting them away from that position. No one really seems to panic that they're sitting just above the relegation zone in January because they know every season it seems to be a little bit of a kick on around sort of April, May time, and then they're safe. So, yeah, he's done a phenomenal job. I would like to see him branch out, maybe dip his toe in the water, maybe if a Newcastle was to come available, to see what he could do there, because it would be interesting.
It would be interesting. The other thing that Mark sort of said when we heard from him over at the ground, Gary, was their troubles with scoring goals. They've only got 9 this season. To be outside the relegation zone, having only scored 9 goals, the one thing you need is a very good defensive unit. And in guys like Pope and me and Tarkowski, they have that, don't they? Yeah,
that little triangle. More often than not, that's the 3 that play week in, week out. So they know each other pretty well, and it is a solid base for them to work on. You know, they're not fancy, they're not pretty. They'll get the ball in wide areas. I think McNeil is a danger, he's a threat, he's got a good left foot if he plays tonight. But they get the ball in there nice and early, and they've got, well, yeah, it'll probably be 2 players up front. Wood will play, and it'll be somebody else alongside him. But they are a threat from set plays, and they will get balls into the box early. And Liverpool will have to not just defend one-on-one situations in the aerial battles, but second balls are vitally important as well, because I think we've seen like umpteen times Rodriguez is probably the one that takes advantage more often than not from these second balls, and he has got an eye for a goal and has scored a few goals against Liverpool.
It's part of their success, you know, not having the largest squad. Whether that becomes a hindrance this season towards the end, I know I said that they pick up, don't they, April, May, they pick up some big results. Whether that's going to hinder them having no pre-season and a long season and back-to-back games remains to be seen. But you know, sometimes it plays into the hands of the likes of Burnley not having the bigger squad, because you have to field very similar players, personnel week in, week out, and that brings consistency. They all know their jobs. And
I think that's true. It probably goes back to the fact when they were in the Europa League, that kind of hurt them a little bit, because like, you know, they have got a small squad, so they
started early, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Well, we shall see what they do tonight. Jason's right, they don't make too many changes to their team, but we'll bring you their team and, of course, the Liverpool team from 7 o'clock on Matchday live on LFC TV, and on the move on your tablet or your smartphone or your laptop on LFC TV Go from 7 o'clock, as I said, ahead of an 8 o'clock kick-off at Anfield. Can Liverpool take a very, very much needed all 3 points? We'll see you a bit later on.
Here's Benayoun, who's had the best chance so far for Liverpool, and he may have a goal for Liverpool. He does. Little break for Salah, and Mane scores. Well, here's Gerrard. It's a wonderful take. Still Gerrard. Well, there is the icing on the cake for Liverpool. It's a really good run by Salah, and Salah's shot. Liverpool are level. Here's Emre Can. He's going to have a go. It's not a bad effort. Oh, it's not at all. It's a wonderful one. And that's Henderson. Pick that out. Benayoun goes for goal. Dirk Kuyt put the ball in. No doubt at all from Dirk Kuyt. And Mohamed Salah. And it's going to break for Roberto Firmino. Fabinho. Little run by Robertson. And his head.